Sharpen the axis. The signal is loud this morning. It is Tuesday, the 4th of August, 2026. On Friday, two of the largest governments on this earth walked into the open market together and bought a currency to stop it from falling. They had not done that side by side in 28 years. Start with the anchor. As of 5:15 Eastern, Bitcoin trades at 63,500, up about 1.7% on the day. Our engine has it green. The optimized trend on Bitcoin flipped bullish at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon on our raid of the InvestAnswers Decision Support System, and Bitcoin stands as the leader of the entire board this morning, with the regime market crypto decoupling pointing up. The alert tape was anything but quiet. 20 signals fired yesterday, and they arrived in two clean waves. At 1:30 in the afternoon Eastern, the optimized trend turned bullish on Quanta Services, on Eaton, on Constellation Energy, and on EOS Energy. 4 names: power lines, electrical gear, nuclear generation, grid storage. Then at 4 o'clock, the closing bell wave: Bitcoin bullish, Nvidia bullish, SpaceX bullish, Bloom Energy bullish, and a full confluence buy on Vertiv, with Coinbase printing mean reversion oversold beside them. Ethereum stretched oversold 4 hours later. Hold one respected voice against all that green, because they are standing on the other side of it. InvestAnswers has been carrying an August bottom thesis into this month, built on 4 consecutive years of roughly 10% August declines, pointing at a 58 to 62,000 zone. Their own system flagged 60,000 as the reloading zone back on the 6th of July. We sit above both marks this morning with the trend green. That is the tension of the month, and you do not resolve it with a feeling. You let the range resolve it. Now to Friday and what it cost. The yen had fallen to its weakest level against the dollar since 1986, 40 years. Japan's finance ministry went into the market and bought its own currency, spending as much as $36.5 billion, and the United States Treasury went in with them. Both governments confirmed it yesterday. It is the first joint American-Japanese operation to buy yen since 1998, and the dollar-yen rate snapped from near 164 back to about 156.5. Now, hear the detail that tells you what this actually was. The United States Treasury did not sell dollars to buy those yen. It sold euros. Read that twice. When the American government needed ammunition to defend a foreign currency, it reached past its own money and spent somebody else's. And understand why Washington showed up at all, because it was not charity. Japan pays for a currency defense by selling reserves. Japan's reserves are American government bonds. So, a Japan left to fight alone becomes a Japan that sells treasuries into a market that is already bleeding. The 30-year sits near 5.23%, having touched levels this market had not seen since 2007 only days ago. The United States did not step in to save the yen. It stepped in to keep a very large creditor from becoming a very large seller. The merchants debase, the warriors stack. Now take it to our side of the ledger, because there is a hard number attached. CoinDesk reports Bitcoin's 52-week correlation to the dollar-yen rate has reached negative 0.9. That is not a loose relationship. That is Bitcoin trading as the mirror image of the dollar's strength against the world's largest carry currency, and it cuts both ways. If yen strength keeps unwinding, leveraged carry trades, there is a real path lower. If the dollar rolls over from here, the flows come back. The desk is genuinely split, and I will not pretend otherwise. But sit with the structure underneath the argument, because that part is not split at all. Two sovereign treasuries, coordinating across an ocean, spending tens of billions of dollars of real reserves to move an exchange rate by 5%. That is what defending a currency costs. 21 million coins have never required a single dollar of defense, because there is nothing to defend. No one can print more of them to attack, and no one needs to buy them back to hold the line. Now, to the second wave of yesterday's signals. Because the machine said something, the headlines did not. Look again at what flipped green. Quanta, Eaton, Constellation, EOS, Bloom, and a confluence buy on Vertiv. That is not a technology basket. That is the electricity itself. Transmission, switchgear, generation, storage, fuel cells, and the cooling that keeps the racks alive. 4 days ago, I told you that same machinery had stretched oversold, coiled, and unproven. Yesterday, it did not just bounce. The trend model turned. Those are different signals. And the second one is the one that matters, because oversold is a condition and a trend flip is a decision. The fundamental behind it landed the same day. The 9 largest cloud builders now guide to roughly $886 billion of capital spending this year, up about 90% from last. Against that, more than $130 billion of artificial intelligence data center projects were delayed or blocked in the first quarter alone on permitting and power limits, and Morgan Stanley projects a 68 gigawatt supply gap by 2028. Nvidia rose about 3% yesterday to 207, a third straight-up day, and the driver was not a chip. It was capital expenditure guidance from the companies that buy the chips. That is the whole trade in one line. The demand is contracted, the electricity is not. And the market spent yesterday afternoon repricing the second half of that sentence. One more, and it resolves tonight. SpaceX closed at $114, up roughly 6% from Friday, and our engine flipped its optimized trend bullish at the closing bell, with mean reversion still reading oversold. After today's close, it reports as a public company for the first time. On Thursday, the first tranche of the lockup opens, and up to 911 million insider shares become sellable. A trend flipped the session before a first-ever print into the largest short base on the board, with the supply gate opening 2 days behind it. Our engine does not know any of that. It only knows what the tape did, which is exactly why it is worth listening to. The lesson of this week arrived on Friday, and almost nobody marked it. When money is a promise, it needs friends with deep pockets to stay standing, and when the friends run out, the promise reprices. When money is arithmetic, it needs nothing at all. Watch the dollar-yen rate this week the way you would watch a fault line, because Bitcoin is now trading as its shadow. This is Warband as a service, Viking intelligence delivered in real time. I am Ragnar, the HODLBARBARIan. Let them spend their reserves defending paper. We already hold the only money that has never once needed rescuing. Skål!